I'm 87 years old. I survived Jim Crow. I survived the dogs and the fire hoses back in the day. I spent my whole life keeping my head down, working hard, paying my taxes, and making sure I didn't give anybody a reason to look at me twice. But what finally took my life away wasn't a mob in white hoods. It was a little white girl wandering around a park, and a system that still sees my skin as a weapon. I was just sitting on my usual bench at Centennial Park. It was late afternoon. My knees were acting up, so I was just resting before walking the rest of the way home. That's when I saw her. She couldn't have been more than 5 or 6. Blonde hair, pink jacket. She was wandering near the edge of the pond, crying her eyes out, looking around, panicked. Nobody was with her. Now, I've been black in America for almost 9 decades. I know the rules. My brain immediately told me to look away. Get up. Walk away. Do not involve yourself. You do not approach a lost white child. You just don't do it. But she started walking toward the parking lot. Cars were pulling in and out fast. She was sobbing, wiping her face, not looking where she was going. I couldn't just sit there and watch a child get run over. I couldn't do it. I stood up. I walked over to her slowly. I leaned on my cane and kept my distance. I didn't reach out. I didn't touch her. I just said, "Little girl, are you lost? Where's your mama?" She just looked at me and kept crying. She said she couldn't find her mommy. I told her to stay right where she was, away from the cars. I looked around. I figured her mother had to be close by, probably frantic. I told her, "We're going to stand right here where it's safe until your mama comes looking for you." That was my crime, standing 5 feet away from a crying child, trying to keep her out of traffic. Less than 2 minutes later, I heard the scream. It wasn't a word scream. It was a vicious, hysterical shriek. "Get away from her. Get away from my daughter." This woman came running across the grass like she was in a war zone. She grabbed the little girl and yanked her back so hard the kid almost fell over. Then she turned on me. Her face was red. Her eyes were wild. She started screaming that I was trying to take her child. She started screaming for help. I held both my hands up, both of them, right where she could see them. My cane fell to the concrete. I didn't reach down to pick it up. You don't make sudden movements. Even at 87, you do not move fast when a white woman is screaming at you. I said, "Ma'am, she was wandering by the parking lot. I was just making sure she didn't get hit by a car." She didn't hear a word I said. She didn't want to hear it. She pulled her phone out and dialed 911. She was screaming into the phone that a black man was trying to abduct her daughter. She used the word predator. She told the dispatcher I tried to grab her child. People started stopping. Crowds started forming. Everybody was looking at me. Nobody was listening to me. I saw the faces of the folks walking by. White folks looking at me with pure disgust. A few young black men walked past, saw what was happening, and just put their heads down and kept walking. They knew. They couldn't help me without getting dragged into it themselves. That's the reality. I just stood there. I didn't run. Where was I going to run? I can barely make it up a flight of stairs. I just waited for the police. I knew how this was going to go. It didn't take them long. 2 squad cars rolled up onto the grass, sirens blaring, lights flashing. 4 officers jumped out, hands on their weapons. Get on the ground right now. I looked at them. I said, officers, I'm 87 years old. I have bad knees. I can't get on the ground. They didn't care. 2 of them rushed me. They grabbed my arms, twisted them behind my back, and slammed me against the hood of the cruiser. The metal was hot from the sun. It burned my cheek. My shoulder felt like it popped right out of the socket. The pain was blinding. I let out a groan, but I didn't fight back. I went completely limp. If you tense up, they call it resisting arrest. If you complain about the pain, they push harder. I just let them manhandle me. They slapped the cuffs on, tight. The metal dug right into my wrists. Skin gets thin when you get old. It tears easy. I could feel the blood starting to trickle down my hand. I kept my voice completely calm, flat, no attitude, no anger, just survival. Officer, my ID is in my left back pocket. I was just trying to help the little girl. She was lost. Shut up, the cop said. He didn't call me sir. He didn't look at my gray hair. He just saw a threat. They shoved me into the back of the squad car. The plastic seat was hard. I couldn't sit up straight because my arms were pinned behind me. It was hard to breathe. I was having chest pains. I actually thought I was going to die in the back of that car. I thought, this is it. This is how my life ends. Over a misunderstanding that wasn't even a misunderstanding. It was a lie. They took me down to the precinct. They stripped me of my belt, my shoelaces, my dignity. They put me in a holding cell with concrete walls and a metal bench. I sat there for 14 hours. No water, no phone call. Nobody came to check on me. My arthritis flared up so bad I couldn't stop shaking. When they finally pulled me out for an interview, a detective sat across from me. Young white guy, smug. He already had the whole story written in his head. He told me they had a witness, the mother, who said I was coaxing the child away with candy. Candy. I haven't carried candy in my pockets in 20 years. I told him to check my pockets. I told him to pull the security cameras from the parking lot. I told him to ask the little girl. He just laughed. He said, You really think a jury is going to believe an old creep over a traumatized mother? That's when I knew I was done. They didn't care about the truth. They had their narrative. Black man, white child, danger. It's a story this country has been telling itself for 100 years, and they were happy to tell it again with me as the star. They charged me with attempted kidnapping and child endangerment. They set bail at $250,000. I didn't have that kind of money. My pension covers my rent and my groceries. That's it. So I sat in county jail for 8 months waiting for a trial. 8 months in a cage at 87 years old. You lose track of time. You lose track of who you are. The guards treated me like garbage. The other inmates, well, when you get tagged with a charge involving a kid, nobody in there gives a damn if you're innocent or if you're old. You're a target. I spent every day just trying not to get killed in the shower or the chow hall. Then came the trial. I got a public defender. He was overworked, tired, and he didn't give a damn about me. He met with me twice. Both times he told me to take a plea deal. He said if I pled guilty to a lesser charge, I'd get 5 years. If I went to trial and lost, I'd get 20. I looked him in the eye and said, I am not pleading guilty to something I didn't do. I am an old man, but I still have my pride. I will not die a registered predator. I won't do it. He rolled his eyes. He said, suit yourself. But juries don't like these kinds of cases. The trial was a joke. The prosecutor painted me like a monster. He talked about how I was lurking in the park, how I targeted a vulnerable child. He brought the mother up to the stand. She cried. She put on a real show. She swore under oath that I had my hand on her daughter's arm and was dragging her toward the woods. It was a complete fabrication, a flat-out lie, and she knew it. But she was committed to it now. She couldn't back down without looking crazy. My lawyer barely cross-examined her. He didn't push hard. He didn't want to look like he was attacking a crying mother. We asked for the camera footage from the park. The city claimed the cameras in that section were down for maintenance that day. Convenient. When it was time for the verdict, I stood up. My knees were shaking. The foreman read the paper. Guilty. I didn't cry. I was too tired to cry. I just looked at the judge. He was an older white man, maybe a few years younger than me. He looked down at me from his bench with total contempt. He sentenced me to 8 years in state prison. 8 years. I was 87. 8 years is a death sentence. He knew it. The prosecutor knew it. The mother sitting in the gallery looking smug knew it. They were sending me away to die in a concrete box because I tried to stop a child from walking into traffic. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly how it was built to work. It's designed to crush us. It's designed to take everything we have, right down to our last few years on this earth. You spend your whole life navigating the landmines, playing by their rules, bowing your head, swallowing your pride. And all it takes is one bored, hysterical person pointing a finger at you, and your life is over. I'm sitting here now, speaking out, because my appeals ran dry. The lawyer said there was a procedural error, but the appellate court didn't care. They upheld the conviction. I'm waiting on the transport to the state penitentiary. I know I'm not walking out of those doors. I know I'm going to die in a prison hospital ward, chained to a bed, but I refuse to let them write my history. I refuse to let that woman's lie be the last thing said about me. I was a good man. I worked on the railroad for 40 years. I raised 3 kids. I never broke the law. I tried to help a little girl. That is the truth. I'm leaving my story here on this channel because I know I'm not the only one. I know there are thousands of men just like me, sitting in cells, their lives stolen from them over a lie, over a look, over the color of their skin. If you felt this, if you've been through this system, or if you've lost somebody to it, drop a comment. I mean it. I'll be reading them all before I have to turn my devices in. And subscribe, because there are a lot more of us with stories that need to be heard. We can't let them silence us all. God bless everyone. Goodbye.